Good morning, everyone. This is Lee Andrews and Shyamala Prayaga. And Shyamala is the CEO and founder of Digital Assistant Academy, as well as the head of conversational AI design of Ford's autonomous vehicle line because she doesn't have enough to do. And and
I love
I
that.
am I know, and I am the director of her career services capability out of the Digital Assistant Academy. So between the two of us, we are trying to create a new generation of conversational AI designers so that this does not happen. And so I got extremely upset again yesterday at a bot that I had to engage with, and I thought to myself, who do I know in the voice space that can possibly help us prevent the frustration that I felt? When I did some research, I found out that 63% of customers will leave a company after just one poor experience, and almost two-thirds will no longer wait more than 2 minutes for assistance. That's out of Forrester. So that means that, as fast as the world is evolving with technology and capabilities, our patience is really limited. So, again, my experience was on a banking call yesterday. 7 or 8 layers deep, Shamala. I'm into this bot. She didn't understand me. I clearly didn't understand her. And we could not find a common ground from which to go forward. So while I was swearing, she was saying, I'm sorry, I don't understand that. And I said, of course you don't, you expletive, expletive. And I just kept going and going on. And I'm yelling at the phone. Yeah, but the phone is in front of me and I'm yelling, customer service, as if it had a hearing deficit. So, and it's true because the frustration in me was so high, Shamala, I wanted to throw my phone. That's how upset I was. So I hung up and I took a walk around the house. And then I came back and I tried again. The second attempt went a lot better because all I did was press buttons until I got to customer service. I just, I
Oh,
didn't say a word. I just kept pressing buttons. Any button it would take, I just kept pressing. So, so you can imagine, right?
yeah,
Right? For
I can
people who,
totally, I can totally imagine because this happened so many times. So, and especially with the bankings, this happened quite a few times where I was trying to get verification for my new credit card or something, and it kept asking me a couple of things, and it would not understand what I said. Very frustrating. So I did exactly what you did. Even though I design conversations, I know it is a IVR system. I was yelling at it and I was like, what the hell? And all of those. And I got so frustrated. I was like, I'm not talking with this anymore. And then I was like, every verification you do, and I handed off to my husband. I'm like, I'm not getting into that. I have zero patience. So,
oh,
what
horrible.
Forrester says about this data is pretty true because we are dealing with too many things. And if we are calling a chatbot or IVR system, not voice assistant, but at least the ones which are in the customer care realm, it is because we have a problem or we are trying to fix something, right?
Right.
So we are
Right.
already frustrated, we already have a lot going on. And if the experience is as frustrating where they don't understand what you're saying, or they have to go through multiple rounds before they can hand you off to a customer care agent, and the option is not easy. I try doing that too. So, throughout the experience, you also have at any time you can call, you can press zero to call the customer care. So the moment I call, I just press zero, but it does not take me there. So the experience is not easy to get off and talk to a real person if you need. And even the problem is because the IVR systems are not designed in a way where it is very easy and natural for me to interact. So if we are able to either fix that or fix the latter, I think that's when people will have a better experience with customer care agents.
So you say. So, just out of curiosity, say you are a normal user like me. Okay, maybe I'm the lowest common denominator of the user, but I'm a user. So, where can a user go? Like, if I wanted to give this feedback to a company, who should I be targeting with this feedback? Because going through customer service just doesn't make a dent, right? They have no clue. Should I be finding out who the head of UX is, who the head of conversational AI is, who the head of product is? Where would a consumer go with that?
Well, you are not the least common denominator. You're talking about, folks who you want to directly connect with, right? Like product or UX team. But UX depends on the company also. It's if it is a big company, and you have 200, 300 plus UX designers, they are not the ones who'll be doing this work. For example, Amazon, they have a different customer care department or section, and they have a dedicated, designers and stuff for that part. So
Oh,
it's very complicated, so you cannot just go to someone just like that, and try to give a message. The message may not reach the right person. So most of the people, what they are doing nowadays is, towards the end, they have like, provide us feedback about this call or something. Hang in there and provide feedback. I did that. I did that many times, and I see that's the best way, because see, they are also learning and you are also learning, and that is the best way to give the feedback firsthand, and then get things fixed. And they do work on it, they do try to fix it.
I'm going to put that in here. Hang in there to provide feedback.
If you
So,
really care, right?
that's just it. Do I care enough about these people to, well, you know what? Clearly I do, because if I want to use the product, right, again, which I will, it's a bank that I need to work with. So I absolutely have to. So, all right, well, then there's that. So we're just going to hang in there when you're done with the call, and provide feedback. We can do that. All right. So let's talk about, from a design perspective, we're, the industry is not growing anywhere. It's going to be, a multi-billion-dollar space in the next, 3 years. So 3 to 4 years. It's already a multi-billion, but now it's just going to be double where it is. So what is it that we need to be designing for to make this experience? Like, what are the three things that we really need to focus on to make it a better experience for our users?
So first thing I would say is, if you are designing a bot, the first and foremost thing is, don't design or don't pretend to be a human. You are not a human, right? So try to design an experience where and this is great. Couple of people are doing it. I think this is from one of the auto rental, where the moment they start the chatbot, this person was like, the chatbot was like, hey, I am XYZ bot, and I'm not a human, or neither am I pretending to be a human. I'm here to assist you as much as I can. At any point, if you don't feel comfortable talking to me and talking to a human, just let me know and I will hand you off. Perfect experience. You have set the expectation for me, you have told me, so I'm not assuming that I'm talking to a human, right? And I felt like that was the best experience, and many people are trying to get to that stage. I feel that is what you should be doing when you are design a bot, and tell the users it is a bot, so they will have a different level of understanding expectations. Why do you think we get frustrated with the IVR systems, although we know, because it has the it speaks like a human, or it has the voice. So the moment you have a voice or something, you're automatically thinking that, okay, there's another person on the other side, right?
So,
Not
Shamal, hold on a
everyone
second.
knows.
Hold on a second. There's something else that's going on here. So, first, before we go any further, for those who don't know what IVR is, can you please share with them what it is?
Yeah, so
Explain.
IVRs are interactive voice responses. So every time you call a customer care agent, be it a banking or a social security or any kind of or appointment booking system, so you get through a number of steps, right? Like, hello, for English, press one; for Spanish, press two, blah blah blah, and then it
Very
tries
aware
to
of
get
them.
all of the information and all. Those are
Hmm.
IVR systems. So
Okay.
IVR systems again have two different things. One is, they are fixed based, and the other is natural language, where you can speak and say whatever you want. What are you here for today? And you can say, I want to book an appointment.
Okay. All right. The next part of that is that experience that you had where that bot automatically said, "I am not a real human, and if you prefer to speak to a real human, let me know." For that to take place, doesn't the organization also have to have in place humans at a customer service representative level? And aren't companies today trying to get rid of humans at a customer service representative level? Because I can see most companies not wanting to have a human CX
No, it
capability.
will never happen. You will never be able to replace, not Bot cannot solve all of the problems. Bot can solve repetitive problems. Bot can solve operational I mean optimization problems, but not replace your entire customer care. For example, Amazon, right? You may call an Amazon customer care agent as as a customer to either say, I want returns, I want refunds, I did not receive my package, and all of those things. Those are very common things, right? And for those things, well, you don't need a customer care agent. Maybe bot is able to help you. All I need is your tracking ID and when you ordered, and then I'll be able to pull some of the information. But there are many complicated scenarios within the customer care where the product has been delivered and it shows delivered, but I never received it. Now bot cannot help because bot cannot troubleshoot. In the customer care realm, you will have to go back and troubleshoot and look at what happened, why was it not delivered, was it delivered to the wrong address, and all of those things. Sometimes you may also need to talk to your subordinate or supervisor because you may not be versed with those kind of things. Bot is just here to help with basic Q&As or with just basic things where I can just look at a tracking ID and give you the information. Anything where there is a complicated level of service or assistance required, bot cannot help. And that
Right.
is where you still need a customer care agent, and they're not trying to replace. Bot is your alternate way to reduce the call, because otherwise, for these kind of calls, you have to wait for like 30 minutes or so, and they'll be like, we have a huge volume and we'll call you back. So these are all ways to optimize the customer care realm.
Okay. All right. What's the next thing we need to be doing?
So the second thing I would say is, even when you are designing your copies, conversation copies, don't make it too human. Have the bot element to it. Personality is important, but don't make it too much human that people will get confused or people will start expecting more from it. The moment you set the expectation, I'm a bot, people will have a different level of expectation, and the frustrations we faced will not be there because, well, you are pretending to be a human and you are saying speak whatever you want, and then you're not understanding what I said, right? So there's a lot of things from design standpoint and from development standpoint. But I would say, like, don't pretend to be a human, and don't have too much of a personality. Only have a personality where needed. You don't need a personality in like a customer care bot just trying to help you. And cool, let us get this sorted for you, blah blah blah, and all of those things, when you're not really able to sort out things for me. So the expectation and reality will be completely off. So I would say that's really important.
Okay. So this brings to mind. I don't know if you've ever seen the show, but Big Bang Theory.
I saw a couple of, yeah.
Well, Rajesh Kuthrapali, Dr. Kuthrapali in this show, decided to make Siri quite personal.
I saw
And
that one. My husband showed me that one because it involves voice. He was like, you should see this one. So I saw, yeah. And this
it
happens, right?
does?
Yeah, so many people have asked Alexa to marry her, and people see. First of all, anthropomorphism, right? The moment something is speaking to us, we automatically relate a face and a personality to that voice, although it is a bot. So that's very common, and that happens first. The second thing is, if you make it too personal and like have a voice and I'm not against having a personality. I say that yes, personality should be there because it reflects your brand, but to the extent where it is needed. You don't need to go overboard with that. So, because Alexa is, like really sassy, cool, witty, and all of those things, many people fell in love with her, and one person actually did marry her. There are like a lot of articles like that. Like he actually, did all the vows and stuffs like that. So people have a different level of expectation. Not everyone, many people understand it's a bot, but there are some people, and it's like, have you seen the movie Her?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So in the movie Her, this person is divorced, and he starts interacting with the voice-enabled operating system, and this person is, really like has a personality and emotions and all of those things. And Theodore, the main character, starts to fall for her. He's like expressing his emotions and all, and he doesn't realize it's a machine. It does not have the same emotions like you. It's just trying to pretend, because of the personality aspect, just trying to help you. And this
Okay.
happens.
For this to be happening, society's got a few issues, don't you think?
Hmm.
I mean, this is. That's concerning. If it doesn't have a pulse, come on. And we shouldn't even limit it to, I mean, that should not be the primary criteria. Like being a human should be the primary
See, why do you,
criteria.
I would say like, yeah, I mean, there's a problem maybe, I don't know, anthropomorphism, right? We name our cars also, we name our living like plants also, and we talk to them. If our plants die, I don't know everyone, but many people, if our plants die or if our car, something happens to our car, we get emotionally attached. So we are human beings, we get attached with everything, living being, non-living being, and if the
Interesting.
other thing is showing that much of personality and trying to communicate and reciprocate, then the emotions would be high.
All right, moving right along. What would our what would the third consideration be to help us design a better experience for our users?
uh, wow, that's interesting. So the third one I would say is uh, so see, when we are designing conversations, every company has a different platform. Okay, so they for example, Bot Society has a different kind of platform. Botmock has a different kind of platform. VoiceFlow has a different kind of platform. There are so many different platforms available out there. They are great at different capacities, but have their own limitations as well. For example, Bot Society does not allow you to have natural language understanding. It's all click-based kind of things. So sometimes, if you're working with different kind of with different companies and different kind of platforms, you will have that kind of problem where you are limited by or stuck by the limitations of those platforms. So my students sometimes they're like, well, Shamla, I wanted to design this best experience, but then the tool has xyz limitations and I was not able to do. So I push them and I'm like, okay, you have these constraints, try to find the uh, inspiration within those. Like, how can you be creative within the limitations you have? And it's really important, right? So one example is, there is this bot called Lark which I use for my healthcare. This is amazing, it's all click based. But the way it is designed is, I don't feel the pain or need to type anything. The way it is designed and the conversations are, I just like clicking the buttons and all. So I don't need to do anything else. And by far, that has been the best experience for me interacting with a bot. It knows what I want to say and it already have those options for me in there. So, if you have limitations with the platform, think about creative ways to communicate the same experience to the user. Like, how can you ease out things for them? Don't make it too robotic, don't make it too human, but have that user experience or user centered approach to it.
What
And
if what if there is no way out? What if there is no way out? If that there are no workarounds, at what point do you decide that that tool, that technology, is not right for that particular capability?
See, before onboarding a tool in any company, I'm sure there's a lot of demos and lot of things which is
Uh-huh.
happening. It's not that you will be given a tool saying like, okay, this is designed by my friend, so just use it. That's not how companies work. There's a lot of vetting process which goes, and that is your time. As a designer, when you get to choose the tool, if ever you get to choose the tool, just go through the process of asking the right questions, fiddling around with the tool and understanding if it is the right one for you or not.
And I think here's a great time to say build your network. This is an opportunity to say find the experts who are using that tool to figure out what those workarounds are.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
and you mentioned one other thing before we hopped on a call that we want to do in designing our program, and it was around cognitive load. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so see, what happens is when we are designing conversations, it's pretty uh, common, or I would say, because when we are designing, we have too many things in our mind. So it's very common or easy for us to start adding cognitive to load to the user. For example, if your bot is capable of doing five different things and you are like, hello, my name is uh, Ben, and I can do blah 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 blah. What do you want me to do? There's too much information you have given me, and people take time to process the information. So if we are, and even the way the conversation is designed, if you're just adding big chunks of paragraphs in your conversation, that's very frustrating because the user has to read so much in once, right? And people like to scan. So how can you break it down into smaller pieces to reduce the cognitive load? How can you give limited options, or options which are contextual to the current need? Like, make it level based. What do you need in the first level, what do you need in the second level or third level? So there are ways you can reduce the cognitive load for the user, and it's really important to do that. So I would say, so think about ways how you can reduce the cognitive load by simplifying your interactions, simplifying your experiences, and conversations itself. And I would say the best way is think about it in the information architecture upfront.
So I always use a no more than three options at a time. So, and this is just a fundamental understanding of adult learners as well. We can take three numbers at a time. Like phone numbers, area codes. So if you break it out into threes, but I also noticed that when I dial into some companies and utilize their voice system, that they've got like six options that they're reeling off. Do you want to do this, or this? And or press nine to listen to your
Again, yeah.
options again. And again, I stare at the phone and say, "You have no idea, do you? You have no idea what you're doing to your users. This is beyond painful." And of course, the response is, "I did not understand that. Please press nine to listen to the options." Blah blah blah. So, of course, I have to press nine because at this point, I forgot what number one was. So, so,
That's exactly the point, right?
so, would you agree that, like, understanding what are the three most important things that people usually call us for? What are the
Yes.
three most prominent reasons for them to call, and then go from there?
That's the best way to go about it, right? Instead of giving all the options and then confusing the user and frustrating them, and they're like, I will never ever use this IVR system, I would rather just go to the bank. I think it makes more sense to simplify the experiences this way. Like, what are the three reasons? For example, I spoke about Amazon, and what are the top reasons why people go to the Amazon customer care, right? It's the same kind of thing. Look at your data and look at what kind of things people are calling you for, and then from that select, like, these are the three options. Do you want to listen to more options? If you say yes, then I'm providing you the next three options. Reduce the cognitive load, like I mentioned.
Right.
Give them the options which is easy for them to process, because our brain cannot take too much information at once.
So, how are we supposed to be looking at voice design by generation to give them the experience that they're looking at? Are we talking about that in the rooms in our design?
We are definitely going talking
What?
about these, because voice design is different by age and generation, right? Older population have a different kind of expectation and understanding and interaction means, and younger, when my son was 2.5, he hardly knew anything else, or he hardly knew how to speak. He started speaking when he was like 3ish. So he would speak like one or two words, that's it. And he would be able to speak the episodes from YouTube, like Mava the bear or Masha the bear, I don't remember exactly, but those kind of little words he was able to speak. Or he would say like Baba for water. That's how it was with him. Even at that age, once he wanted to watch something and he saw mom is busy doing something else, he just took my phone, and there was this on YouTube, there was this microphone icon. He just pressed it and he was like, Masha the bear. That's it. And then he knows how to navigate. So kids are already wired to use voice as much. For them it comes naturally, like, yes, I have to use this thing. And that is going to not change with the future generations. And thanks to all these voice assistants, they are already doing so much. Kids are already using these voice assistants or hearing about it. They already have a very high level expectations. My son wants to interact with Alexa all the time. He's like, Alexa, I'm going for a vacation to Boston. And Alexa is like, I'm sorry, I did not understand. And he's trying to. So, kids are already trying to do different things with these voice assistants or voice systems than what we actually can think about. So we have to always include them in our design and think about how a kid would ask for these things.
So that makes me sad if he's talking to Alexa about going on vacation and she's turning him down. Do you think that do you think that this previous year being kind of cooped up in the house has had an impact on how people interact with their voice um, systems
It's
like
like,
Alexa and Siri?
I would say it's mixed, not entirely. Even before last year, I know a lot of people were using Alexa and were using Alexa to prank people. I know my couple of friends, they were like, midnight, they had asked Alexa to play goofy music so that they can freak out the other person. So people are using Alexa to prank people or talk about their emotions and stuffs because they feel like, she's listening and she will respond back. With my son, it's more because he wants to see what she would respond back with. And I have different
Curiosity.
devices. I have Alexa, I have Siri, and I have Echo Show. And interestingly, all the devices have a slightly different variation of how they respond. It's not the same. So he likes, because he sees me benchmarking these things, so he's also trying to push the boundaries and see where's that limit.
So, in other words, your household is nothing but one big testing center for the
Sort of.
various for the various things. So, what else around customer service should designers be acutely aware of as they're putting together the capabilities of the product that they're working on? Let's just take your cars for example. I mean, how are you ensuring that the passenger and the driver have a good experience?
First of all, you should know who your customers are.
Mhm.
Unless and until you know who your customers are, what their limitations are, and what their expectations are, and their shortcomings and everything, you cannot. So you need to really know your target audiences in order to design. Because if your target audience is, especially for food cars, there are different level of users, right? There are users who will be using our luxury cars. They are a different age groups. People who use our Mustangs are a different age group. So it, based on that, of course, the expectation, the tech usage, or what they want and what kind of help they would need would change. If you know how to design for them or who they are, then it becomes easy. Like, okay, if it is an older population of people who are using like this brand or this kind of vehicle, then maybe we need to have more hand holding or more simplifying of experiences. Regardless, you have to simplify the experiences, but then depending on the different users, you can design the experience in a way where you can think. It's like novice users, first time users, returning users. How do you think about all of these different users, and how do you design the experiences, right?
Mhm.
Knowing your users will help. Again, do they have any kind of disabilities? Do they have any kind of, it's very important. And I keep bringing this thing because yes, they are all our users, regardless of the situation or the limitation or shortcomings. They are all our users, and you should know, like, will they be able to understand if you give them so much information at once? Maybe they are dealing with something related to cognitive disability, or they are dealing with speaking issues. So if your input is all speech, then what is the alternative for them? So you need to think about all of those and design your solution. So know your audience, think about what their limitations are and how you can simplify for them.
So, on an upcoming discussion we're going to have, I'm just telling you now that you have absolutely no awareness that this is happening. We're going to be bringing on some guests who are experts in accessibility. And that is actually a question that has been out there for a little bit. How are we designing voice for people who are hard of hearing or have hearing deficits to any degree? I mean, if everything is going to be so there's got to still be a screen, no matter what. So there's so anyway, that's coming up on a future broadcast. All right, anything else before we wrap up today's voice chat Friday?
I think no, that's all. I would just like to recap. You need to have a clear balance in your design, whether it is giving information or whether it is personality or anything. So your experience should be well balanced and inclusive, regardless of age, ability, and situation.
Okay, we're just going to flash that on the screen real quick as soon as this. That's a great way to pass it on. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the rest of your day. Shyamala, thank you so much. Always an honor to have these conversations with
Thank
you and
you,
in
Lee.
a safe place. Anybody who has any questions whatsoever, this is about the safest place you can be. No judgment, no criticism, just a lot of facts and help as we move towards the future of voice design. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks again for joining.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.